another video, so it looked like someone has told Caitlin Clark she has a huge target on.
Did you hear what Sabrina Ionescu said about Caitlin Clark? She made a bold statement, suggesting Clark will face a lot of pressure next season. Why would a veteran like Ionescu comment on a rookie? And why now? There may be more to this than meets the eye. Let's take a moment to look at what Clark went through last season. Women's basketball isn't easy, and for Clark, every game was a challenge, testing both her physical and mental strength.
And take the most brutal punishment of all the damn athletes in the league. People made it their business to try to injure Caitlin Clark, hurt Caitlin Clark. Even it felt like the referees was in on it at times.
Can you believe the level of punishment Clark endured last season? It was some of the toughest physical play we've seen, the kind that makes you cringe just watching. At times, it felt like opponents were trying to take her out of the game entirely.
Because there was also a stat that came out a few weeks ago that said Caitlin Clark received 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season, and 80% of those flagrant fouls were committed by the Chicago Sky against Caitlin.
Imagine stepping onto the court knowing every opponent isn't just trying to stop you from scoring, but actively trying to take you down. This season, Clark was responsible for 17% of all flagrant fouls in the league. Game after game, she endured relentless punishment, pressure that could break both the body and the mind.
All of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been, 44-2.
Was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Here's the twist. Clark didn't just survive the brutal treatment, she thrived. Game after game, she kept coming back, taking hit after hit, and still delivering impressive performances. It's as if the more they tried to break her, the stronger she became.
So there have been cheap shots, there have been hard fouls, there have been other plays that haven't even been called flagrant fouls, but when you have the face of your league getting nearly 20% of all flagrant fouls called against her, that is an issue, and that's not just an issue that the players have to work out. That is from top down, that goes to the commissioner level. Like, that is the level that needs to control these kinds of things.
Might be thinking, surely the refs stepped in to protect her, right? Well, there were moments when it seemed like the officials were overlooking the excessive physical play against Clark. It felt as though she was up against a system that was determined to stop.
But what we're seeing, but not generalizing, not by every WNBA player, but by some, I believe Kennedy Carter in that specific incident, is envy. Because post-game, when you go to the presser and you don't want to answer questions about Caitlin Clark, why? You answer questions about other individuals, but you don't want to answer questions about Caitlin Clark. I believe what we are seeing is envy. Now, it's a human response. When you were a kid, if somebody had new Jordans that you did not have, you wanted them. Envy is a natural human response. I would be shocked if we weren't seeing envy, but I will not gaslight the viewers, the fans, and you watching by trying to act like individuals are not envious of Caitlin Clark.
But here's the thing that couldn't break her. No matter the hits or cheap shots, Clark kept coming back, hitting threes, making great passes, and leading her team. That shows she's not just talented, she's incredibly resilient, with a mental toughness that sets the great players apart.
Ionescu was quick to praise Caitlin Clark's attributes, but she did not admit that the 23-year-old fame and talent mean is scrutinizing at a much higher level than others in an interview with you.
Now, let's dive into what Sabrina Ionescu said about Caitlin Clark, because it's been making waves throughout the basketball world.
Yeah. But the stuff toward her is petty and jealous. And the thing I love about her, she never says a word.
Ionescu made a bold statement, saying Clark will face intense scrutiny next season. You might think that's normal for a star, but here's the twist. Ionescu isn't trying to intimidate her. She's been one of Clark's biggest supporters. It's almost like Ionescu is passing the torch, but warning Clark about the pressure that comes.
So it said Sabrina Ionescu claims that Caitlin Clark has a target on her back thanks to her huge influence on the WNBA and women's basketball in general.
Here's the thing. Ionescu knows exactly what she's talking about. She's been through it herself. When she entered the league, all eyes were on her, expectations were high, and every player wanted to prove themselves against the new star. Now, she's watching history repeat itself with
always, supported her through her college career and just wanted to be someone that she can come to and ask any questions entering the league. And, obviously she has a target on her back, just like a lot of us do, in terms of understanding what it is you're trying to accomplish in the league.
Ionescu is preparing Clark for what's ahead, offering mentorship and advice. While Clark already faced tough competition, Ionescu knows the challenges will only increase in the pros. She's warning Clark that things are about to get much harder.
What Caitlin's been able to do in the college game, continuing to push it forward. She's selling out every arena she's going to, and obviously the WNBA is excited to bring her in market wherever she's going to end up, and continuing to push the game. I think the more players that we continue to have, the better it is that we're going to be able to enter different marketplaces and have different fan bases and continuing to break records. And so excited to see her finish out her senior year and figure out what she's going to do, whether she's going to stay or go. But regardless of what she's doing, she's changing the game of basketball.
Ionescu highlighted that Clark isn't just facing rookie challenges, but superstar expectations. With endorsements, media attention, and a big fan base, every WNBA player will want to prove themselves against her. But Ionescu isn't trying to scare Clark. She's excited about what Clark brings. She's happy Clark is drawing more eyes to the leagues, saying, "It'll be tough, but you're going to make our league."
So the Indiana Fever have got their enforcer. They have got their enforcer for Caitlin Clark. And I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to Caitlin Clark and their enforcer, last year everyone was talking about the media enforcer, and the closest thing they had was Erica Wheeler. That was the closest thing they had for someone to defend Caitlin Clark, was Erica freaking Wheeler. Maybe Tammy, but Caitlin Clark was getting hit a lot. She was getting hit a lot early, and they needed their Charles Oakley.
Clark's arrival is sparking a new era in the WNBA. The Indiana Fever are making moves to protect her, signing tough players like Sophie Cunningham and DeWanna Bonner. They're building a strong team with one goal in mind: a championship.
When it comes to DeWanna Bonner's tough. We're not going to mess with DeWanna Bonner, but I wouldn't call her an enforcer. Natasha Howard, the same. I wouldn't call her an enforcer, but you don't mess with her. Sophie Cunningham, on the other hand, yeah. Sophie Cunningham is literally the, for lack of a better word, the biggest shithouse in the
This is why the Indiana Fever's strategy makes sense. They're bringing in tough players to protect Clark because they've seen what she's been through and the punishment she can handle. Their message is clear: not on our watch. Fever aren't just protecting Clark, they're unleashing her. They've seen what she can handle under pressure and want to see what she can do when she's free to play her game. Clark is already a game changer, redefining the league before her first pro game. Did you see her Super Bowl commercial? It was 3 times longer than most ads, and it wasn't just about the...
It stays here with Indiana. Clark, a deep one. You bet! A Brooklyn logo bomb from Caitlin Clark.
Efficient, best performance in terms of shooting the back.
Now realizes it. Clark trying to take her defender, pulls up and hits from the mid-range. 20 points for Caitlin Clark.
A really good feel for when she should take a defender based